Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rock and Review.
Fox 17 Rock and Review. We're here at the City Winery in Nashville. I'm talking with one of the 100 greatest guitarists of the 20th century, platinum selling artist, Grammy Award winning Eric Johnson. And he had an album come out last year, Collage, and he's been out on tour for via Musicom, which 28 years.
I know, yeah. Nice round number to go do a tour on, right?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. You know, when I read that, Eric, I was surprised because I remember when you released it, and it doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah, that's kind of like life, isn't it? You know, everything's like, oh, that's another lifetime, but it seems like yesterday. You know? Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and you know, and what a great album too, and you had so many hits off that and a lot of radio play. But I got to be honest with you too. I like a lot of the new stuff you're doing now. Like we were talking before we started rolling the camera, with your acoustic work and Collage. I was listening to this album, you know, for the last week, and I keep playing it. And with the takes that you've done, you know, like a B.B. King song, "Rock Me," on Pipeline, where you added in the mariachi feel with like the nylon string guitar, the whole little sound, you know.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun making that record. Was kind of recorded live relatively quickly, and then I went back and I'd be listening to text and go, well, what if I'd overdub this here? I just had fun with it, you know. No, let's do this here, and when I did the overdubs, I tried to, you know, perform the overdubs.
Yeah.
And so that record was kind of an exercise in just relearning to unlearn and let go, you know. And so that's the path I want to go in the future, is try to get better at just performing in the studio.
Well, you know, and having seen you in concert so many times, Eric, you know, on your solo tour and also with the Jimi Hendrix tour, and obviously you've done the G3 tours, but I like the organic feel of this, and like you were talking about too, you know, with the acoustic work, you know, your phrasing is so different. Do you attribute that to sort of learning piano? And I know your sisters were also studying piano when you were young.
I've always loved piano. I love the wide open spacings that you can get with two hands on a piano, and the chordings and the stuff you can do. So that always has stuck with me. And when I started playing guitar, I kind of look at the fretboard almost like a keyboard.
Wow.
And I like to try to fan out those voicings like you would do on piano. You know, it's just something that sounds good to me.
Right.
And you know.
Well, you know, and your tonality, you know, you're one of those guitarists, and obviously I'm a fan of your music throughout the years and your new music, but it's like you can hit a few notes and I can tell it's you.
Really?
You know, with your tonality. And I think that's kind of neat because, you know, some artists, you know, sound alike. And yours don't. And even with Collage, you know, your take on those cover songs, they sound like Eric Johnson.
Right. Well, I figured there was no point in me trying to do it close to the originals, because you're never going to get them as good as the original. I was never going to get Rock Me Baby as good as B.B. King. So if I wanted to do it, and I think to me it's kind of fun looking at somebody else's song and going, this song is valuable, it's beautiful, so let's try to honor it by doing it with a whole different attitude or coloration or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's a case. It shows that a song that's good has the buoyancy and the weight to be interpreted differently,
right,
and still be nice. You know, I mean, you gotta have a pretty good song to be able to do that and still be the song.
Right.
You know, so it's. To me, it's having fun with somebody else's song, getting out of yourself of, oh, I'm the only songwriter, and also honoring songs that touch you, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and I think too, Eric, it would seem like you would open up a new audience maybe, you know, just like, you know, back in the day, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan opened up me to other artists I hadn't listened to.
Totally, yeah.
And so if you can do that, and, you know, I wanted to bring up too, you know, you've had so many great things going on in the past few years. And I was at the Winter NAMM show in Anaheim in January when you were up on stage playing, and you've got a new Fender Stratocaster that came out.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been with Fender for a while with the different Eric Johnson signature models, but first time with an F-hole.
Yeah, you know, because there's so many different variations on Strats and Stratocasters, and I thought, well, why not take a little side path where you did something different with the actual, construct of it, and I also thought maybe it would. It would give a certain different vibe to the guitar that maybe some people that normally wouldn't play a Fender guitar might like, you know, because when I grew up, I loved Gibson 335s, and I think a lot of kids today love semi-hollow guitars. And so here's a version of a Strat that might be a little different than the normal one that maybe you wouldn't be interested in, whatever, you know what I mean, or maybe. And it has a little different sound to it too. You know?
I agree with you. Do you think, compared to your past Signature model, which I thought it was incredible with the way you helped design the neck, and it had like multiple necks virtually within one space, and the headstock being shaved so it had a different string pull, and also the finish, which you went with a thinner finish so that the guitar breathed easier and had better sustain.
Right.
What do you feel like you did different on this one besides the F-hole?
Well, there wasn't really a whole lot different. The one thing I wanted to do, not that it's really maybe that hugely important, but to me it's always been important, the aesthetics of a guitar. How does it look? When it's sitting in the case, does it make me want to pick it up? And that's going to be subjected to different people.
Right.
But I thought there's always been a kind of a timeless classic design in a lot of the stuff Leo Fender did.
Oh, totally.
And it's same as with a violin, you know, or whatever. And so from that standpoint, I thought, well, let's keep it really classical. So the tough part when we were working with Fender was keeping it, all the contours and all the things, so where by all practical purposes, it's the same as a solid body Strat, but when you look inside, it's hollow. So that was a trick to do, because most times, you know, like if you do a thin line telly, you know, you just put a top on it with the binding and whatever. So we had to take a different approach, but I wanted it aesthetically to be timeless and classic, but then infuse into it a little different sound. But it gives it a little bit more. It kind of breathes back a little bit more.
I totally agree. You know, you likened it to like the semi-hollow body guitars.
Right.
You know, and I think it sort of has more of that airy sound.
Yeah.
And tellies don't, just because I think the tellies, obviously with the pickups configuration, you know, tinier. Not that I have anything against them, but the Stratocaster is like giving it that F-hole, kind of opens it up a little more.
It does a little bit.
The tonality.
Yeah.
So obviously when you come off the tour and everything, are you going to be using this a lot?
Yeah.
You know, in the studio on the next project and stuff?
Yeah, I used it already a little bit on the Collage record because I had just gotten one of the prototypes as I was finishing off that record. But yeah, I've got a bunch of new electric tunes that I want to do, so I'm looking forward to messing with it and see what happens.
It's always so much fun having a new toy to play with, right?
Isn't it? Yeah.
You know, and speaking of which, too, I was on your website the other night, and so it was so much fun checking out your Tone Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you're like in the garage pulling out posters and T-shirts, and you're finding stuff that you didn't even know was in there.
Yeah. It's just, and that's kind of like, you know, this garage is getting overtaken. I gotta, and some of it's cool, some of it's not. But you know, we just discount or give away stuff that's, you know. But some of the stuff was like, wow, I didn't know I had this. Kind of cool. You know?
Well, you know, I liked your line too on the video to where, hey, I hope I find a Stratocaster in here.
Yeah,
it's
I know,
like, you know,
that'd be
under
great.
one box, you know.
There's a 54 Strat back there. I didn't know I had that.
Or you know, you find
most
like
of that happens in your dreams, you know. And then you wake up in the morning and go, oh, that's not. Yeah, that attic didn't have that guitar that I just dreamed about.
Or you could like pull out a box and find like a Thomas Organ wah.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, that would work.
Oh, wow, look, there it is.
Yeah, that's. Man, that would be nice, yeah.
Well, you know, and I know also that, you know, on your website, you update that too, so fans can go on and buy stuff and sort of get some cool posters, T-shirts, whatever, memorabilia.
Yeah, and sometimes we put gear up there when I'm getting rid of some gear.
Cool. See, I'm going to have to sign up then.
Oh, yeah.
So Collage came out last year. Obviously, when you get off the tour this year in 2018, you know, you were talking about that you may be going back to do more with the acoustic.
Yeah. Well, I have a bunch of new acoustic tunes. And then I have a bunch of new electric tunes, so I want to kind of, I've got like several projects I want to do, and you know that's like if you're so busy talking, you can't hear anything you can't hear any information that's happening. So I think at first I just want to stop talking for a while and just like see if I can hear the wind in the air and see what might be trying to reach me instead of me too busy talking that I don't hear anything, you know. So I want to kind of just change my perception to see where the winds might go. And
well, you know, and like I told you too before we started rolling the interview, Eric, I really enjoy your acoustic work, and I kind of, you know, I enjoy the organic way you're going now, to where, you know, before, you know, obviously you're a perfectionist on everything with your tone and with your amps and with everything, but I don't mind hearing a few flaws once in a while.
No, and I think the best way to get the best of both worlds are where you're really playing at your performance level and getting you know, your best level of executing a piece of music and cutting it live. You got to start somewhere and just go, you know what, I'm going to commit to this path, you
Right.
know, and then it takes, you know, maybe it just gets better and better and better from there. But if at first, you know, it's like, well, I didn't really nail that like, you know, Ray Charles did on the first take in 1959. But
Right.
you know, you got two choices. You go, well, I'm going to go back to my old way of just, you know, or I'm going to stay on that path and keep going forward and get stronger at it. You know, so that's kind of, I think you get stronger at whatever you commit to and work on. You know?
Right.
So,
Well, and to me, you know, as you know, a guitar player, certainly not anywhere near to your level, but it's encouraging to see you going into uncharted territory and continue to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Even at this point, and you've been playing guitar since you were 11.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to continue forging forward, you know, it'd be a great time also for a new Martin Signature model.
Oh,
you
that'd
haven't
be
had one of
nice,
those in a
yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I love those. I use those in the studio. They're great.
Yeah, because that was 2003, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a while ago.
Beautiful guitar.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what's your website for our viewers to be sure and catch you, you know, with the new albums and to check out the Tone Tavern? Where's the best place for them to find
Probably
you?
ericjohnson.com. Yeah.
And they can sign up and and follow you on your travels and the
sure.
new album.
Sure, you bet.
And also the new signature model Fender Stratocaster.
Yeah.
But and if you haven't listened to it, and obviously Eric has so many great albums and songs, and on this past tour with via Musicom, but Collage that came out last year. If you haven't listened to it, download it, pick up a copy. I've really enjoyed it. You know,
you so
the whole
much.
album and great songs. I can't wait to hear your new acoustic work.
Well, thank you.
Check out Eric Johnson on tour also. After he takes a rest for a bit, there may be some new music coming out in the next year or
I hope
so.
so. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks
I
for joining
appreciate
us,
it. I
Eric.
enjoyed it. It was
Thanks
great.
for watching the
All
Fox
right.
17 Rock and Review.
Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rock and Review.